Welcome to our podcast, Happy Household. We appreciate you listening in. Ben and I started this podcast to share some insights on what we have found successful and maybe what wasn't so successful. Our hope is that we can help each of you in some small way while getting to spend some quality time together. We feel the key to a successful relationship is trust and communication. Whether it be with friends, family, or significant others, open communication builds trust and creates a home that can become a happy household. How are you today?
I'm just peachy. How about yourself?
Peachy keen like a jelly bean.
Yeah. All right.
Did you do anything interesting today that I didn't know about?
No.
Boy, that sounded like very
monotonous. Guilty?
Lie oriented.
No. I just did that just to get a rise out of you.
I know. You do that often.
Yeah, because I like your smile.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks. Kind of like yours too.
Awesome.
So I know we decided to talk a little bit about a subject that a lot of couples face, and that's whether or not to get a joint bank account, like share the bank account or continue to have our individual accounts and just have one another on there, but not basically let them know anything about it. So I know we had talked about that before and kind of how we felt about that.
Right.
And I know we had come to the conclusion that, couples do face that, like, especially when they've been burned by other relationships.
Oh, for sure.
In
my past, I've been burned. I've been burned a couple of times.
Dude, you were incinerated.
Yeah.
I picked up ashes.
Yeah. But as for myself, I don't necessarily have any reserve about having joint accounts. I have the utmost trust in you.
And I do with you too. And I think the thing is, a lot of couples, and I can just speak for you and I, because we have, our open communication and we discuss, purchases and do we have this come out of this account or this come out of this account, or we're pretty good about communicating about finances.
Right.
Because we trust one another when it comes to that. I think that we're open to the idea of having each other on accounts. Like,
right.
We're not married quite yet, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, now we're having to come to that road where it's like, how much do we combine? Because, we live together, we share a house, we're building a life together.
Right.
But this was just kind of, I think, that final piece. I know I can speak for myself of like, I don't want to relinquish that because I've been burned.
Right.
And I've been burned bad.
Right.
And, it's that last ditch of like, I feel like it's my independence, but it's not really losing my independence at all.
No.
But it is something that I feel like for me, that's a hard one for me to turn over.
Well, and my suggestion is that being in the financial institute employment area.
Industry?
I think that you would definitely recommend your members that it's okay to have multiple accounts. It helps. I mean, for me, it helps me save money because when finances are just a tad bit out of reach, or you don't see them on a daily basis, you have a tendency not to spend them. So I think it is a good idea to have more than just one bank account, even if it is as a joint account or an individual account. I believe that all couples should have your money, my money, and our money. Mm-hmm. The two of us will definitely work well together. So if for some reason that we need to dip into the personal accounts, that there's no issue with that, right? To cover joint issues.
Well, I think the verbiage of yours, his, mine, ours, I think that's part of the stigmatism, to be honest. Like, it's all our money.
Right.
It's just that I'm the primary on this one to, like, if I want to get you a present you don't know about, or you have yours because, we both had lives before each other.
Right.
We have kids. We have all this responsibility, and changing information for where bills come from is tedious and
right.
It takes forever. So I think for you and I, those labels of this is my account and this is his account and this is our account, it's not really that. When we talk about that, it's more of she's primary on that because she had it. He's primary on this because he had it. And this is now ours because we're starting our lives together. It doesn't mean that I can't dip into your account because your name's going on my account anyway. It's just that's my primary account where I everything's coming out of.
Right.
So I think when we talk about yours, mine, ours, it's more of a we have primaries on the accounts.
Right.
It's not that you're not on my account. It's just that you view that as the one that I operate out of 90% of the time, and I view that as the other one you operate out of 90% of the time. It's not. I don't want to make that stigmatism of we have separate accounts. And I know some people nowadays will say that that's not wise because what if something happens?
Yeah,
and
well,
I see that.
If you always worry about what if, chances are it will come true.
Yeah. If you speak,
so you don't even you take the what ifs right out of it.
Yeah.
I guess if I wanted to focus on exactly what I was trying to get across is, the joint account with yours and mine on it would be our account, and then the one that has only my name on it is more like our savings, right?
Yeah.
It's just tucked off the side, just out of sight, not something that you see every day. So it makes it easier to save. And then if we need a couple extra, bucks or whatever from here or there that, say we had an expense pop up, like, I don't know, a car gets smashed or something. We have...
Way to bring that trauma back up, honey.
We'll save that for a later episode.
That's a different episode, so make sure you tune in.
Yeah. Dun, da, da, da. That'll be funny.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you were saying. I think for me, and clearly everybody can see that we're still kind of working through that because, it's about control. It's about being able to predict if something does and control that. Nobody can control tomorrow. Nobody can control what happens. The only thing that you can control is communicating with your partner. And if they're not willing to communicate with you, that's a red flag. Like if they're saying, I refuse to have you on my account, well, why? Are you trying to hide something? Or, just explain to me the why. I don't necessarily have to be on your account, but like I should be able to access your account if some emergency or something happens, that if they're completely, not willing to even breach that, then to me, and I can only speak for myself.
Right.
That would be a huge, okay, this is causing pause for me.
Right. I don't think it's necessarily trying to hide something as, not having the respect of saying, no, you can't be in that personal part of my life. If you want to see my other bank accounts, all you have to say, hey, can I, let me here you go. I'll hand you everything you want. There you go. Look at it. It's the fact of respect. I don't think it's the fact of, that someone's trying to hide something.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying that it could potentially. I'm not saying that is what people are doing. I'm just saying potentially because I have been in the situation where that has happened and I've lived through that. So there is always a potential that, if they refuse, then there's something going on.
Right. It's
ultimately there was, but
raising a red flag of not necessarily of hiding something. I guess my mindset is that that's just being disrespectful to your partner.
Yeah.
If I'm saying, no, you can't see that, that's just, yes, it is a red flag, but it's the fact that I'm being disrespectful to you to say, no, you can't see this part because I'm, like you said, in essence, I'm hiding something or I don't need you to know that. And that's a sign for disaster in all in itself.
Well, and I also think that that's more of yes, it can be, about what are they hiding, but it's more about why can't you trust me? That's the underlying issue is there's no trust there. And I think for me, I would be talking about, well, I'm not trying to push. It's your business. I'm just wondering if you're not able to trust me in that capacity, that's what we need to work on. The bank account is just a bank account. But with you and I, we're very open and communicative with each other about anything. We can talk about anything. And we have found that out through lots of trials and errors with former partners and even with ourselves. There's times where I'll get quiet and you'll be trying to figure out what you did. And it's not what you did. It's just there's past trauma that, we call them landmines. So when somebody does something and it triggers a trauma response for one of us, we call those landmines. And we are very mindful that we don't want to step on any of those for either one of us. And, we're very good about communicating with like the bank account.
Right.
That is that's a trigger. And,
Right.
sometimes it can be a landmine when, not that you've ever said this, but if you ever said, well, why do you need to know? Why can't I know?
Right.
It's more about the, why can't you share this? I'm open about my finances and you're open about your finances. So it hasn't really been an issue, but we had gotten to talking about that and why it was so easy for us to just say, yeah, you can look, I don't care.
Right. Here's the website.
Well, because
There you go.
it came about because you had added me to the deed of the house.
Right.
And it was funny because I basically had told you don't do that. And you were like, well, why?
Hey,
And
you live here, don't you?
you live here and we're building a life together and it's your home. Like,
Right.
why wouldn't I? And my response, because of the trauma again, was, no. And it came through because I was trying to protect you and what you had already been through and trying to not come across as somebody that was just after you for your things, because I wasn't. But part of it was, I think I had that little sliver in the back of my mind of, what if this doesn't work? And we sat down and we talked about it, and we talked about the fact that, we're building a life together and I trust you completely. You're not the type of person that's gonna up and walk away. So
No, that's definitely not me for sure.
yeah. So it was, you just have to kind of have those conversations, and they're difficult conversations for us to have, but they have become easier to us and almost like second nature to us because we make it a point to put each other first. And I think that that's key for why it works so well for us, because
Right.
we understand that this reaction may not be about what you did or what I did.
Yeah, and I have past trauma that usually it's something I did, so I automatically default to, oh shit, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What did I say? What did I do? And that's where before I would never ask.
Mm-hmm.
I would just like, I did something. Oh well, screw it. And now I understand the fact that's not the way to handle that. Right?
Yeah.
As half of a couple, I have to put forth the effort to make sure that I correct my wrongs before they fester. And it's just like having a sliver, right? If you don't get it out, it becomes infected, and then it spreads, and then it will literally, you'll have to cut the finger off. And I'm tired of being the finger. So we don't
You don't
want to
give people the finger, honey?
Oh, I don't have no problem giving people the finger. That's one thing about my age. I'm getting to the point now where I don't have much filter. I mean, like,
I think being around you, my filter is like lessening and lessening each time I spend a day with you. But I'm like, you know what? You have, and this is another thing that I have found really cool about our relationship, and this is kind of a side topic, is the confidence that we give one another. They talked often about people, when they're with the right person, it brings out the masculine side and it brings out the feminine side, or however that may work in your relationships. But I can speak for us where I have been able to sink into, I'm a very independent person. I'm a very independent woman. I like control of what happens when it happens. But with you, I can literally sit in the passenger seat and be like a passenger princess and say, I trust you. And that's very unfamiliar for me. So I have had to adjust to sometimes, dare I say, submitting to you in certain ways where it's like I'd never had to before. And it's a good thing.
And I will never force you to submit.
No.
And I've always, throughout probably most of my entire life, have always been submissive from the get-go. So this is kind of the first time that I've had that more of a leading role. But I think it feeds into a very larger portion of our past, or my past, and that we can definitely get into at a later time. But getting that confidence and being happy with myself has obviously changed the way I handle myself, not only toward other people, but to you as well. Mm-hmm. And that has given me the confidence to maybe get rid of half my filter, which I probably should get half of that back sometimes, because sometimes I just step in that proverbial landmine, and I'm not referring to the one that the dog dropped in the backyard.
Well, again, it's one of those things that we're always growing and we're always learning. And I think that's why we work so well, is we're not afraid to tell each other, like, hey, that ticked me off. I didn't appreciate that. And talk things through rather than blaming one another for it. Or,
Right.
We accept the fact that each of us have been through a lot, and we accept each other for where we are in that healing process. But also, we enjoy coming up next to the other person and saying, how can I help you take a next step today? Because sometimes we can't step for ourselves because we're in the
Right.
trenches.
Yep, it's hard to grab the tool out of the toolbox when you're stuck underneath the vehicle working on it.
Yep, that's a great way to say that. But I think that, and we can revert back to like the bank accounts. I definitely think that because we have that underlying communication piece, we can talk that through, and we also have the trust. So
Right.
I think
And
that,
the respect.
yep. And I definitely think that, whatever way we decide to go, I feel we're going to get through it, and we're going to discuss it, and we're going to come out on top of it because we've set the groundwork to deal with these bigger decisions.
Right. What would be your suggestion to the people listening that would to make a plan? What would be your suggestion of a plan to be able to still retain that individuality of each other's accounts and joint accounts? So that I had mine, you had yours, we have ours, but we still reflect that respect to each other to make that acceptable. Does that make any sense? Right.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think my advice, just have the conversation. Just communicate with your partner, or, bring the subject up to say, hey, I've been thinking about this. What are your thoughts? It's not necessarily that you have to give up your individuality. I never give up my individuality, even though I'm with somebody. I'm still me. I still have my own friends. I still have my own life, but I come together and we build this big life together. So, I think just looking at the situation and talking about it, talking through what works best for your relationship, because what you and I do may not work for another
Right.
couple. It's all about communicating with your
For
partner.
sure. I think my suggestion would be is that I still have my account, but I'm well open. This is where that account is.
Mhm.
This is how you can get into it to see it. You have my username and logins for those accounts. That way, at any time, you can access that with or without my permission, right? Because you're right there. So that gives you the respect you deserve. That I trust you. It's not like you can get into it per se, but you can see it, right?
Mhm.
There's nothing hidden there. So, and I know where your accounts are, and they're easily accessible for me, even though that my name's not on them. And I think that gives the trust and the respect to each other that makes that very easy to, what's the word I'm looking for? Makes it easy to manage or litigate.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that, clearly we're still working through this on both of our ends.
Well, that's the whole point of this podcast is we're gonna,
Yeah. Therapy session 101. I definitely think I agree with that. I know, you just have to find what works for each of you. That's my best advice on that. Whatever works for you. If it works, if it's working and you're happy and, you feel like the communication is there and the openness is there, there's no point in
Right.
trying to say, well, this is what such and such said.
No.
It doesn't matter what such and such does. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Just like, case in point, mustard on a sandwich, that don't work for me. Ketchup on a sandwich, that don't work for me.
Only way to have a sandwich is with mustard.
No.
Yes.
No. Find your mustard and your ketchup and your mayo or whatever condiment you love and run with it.
And respect your partners to have a different taste, but respect them enough to still let them be themselves.
Yeah. You don't have to necessarily eat the mustard just because it's in the house.
That's all right. I like a house with no one else liking mustard. That means I guarantee I always have my condiment.
Out of all the advice you've been given throughout every relationship you've had, what do you find was really, really helpful in your growth?
Listen to what people say. Take out what I need to make it work for me. Because everyone's advice that they give is tailored for them, right? So between like all the therapy sessions and all the friends and all the family that always loves to put their 2 cents worth in, that's great. They are telling you what works best for them. What I need to do is I need to process what they said, find out how or if it will work for me. So I take a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, a little bit from that person, and I kind of throw it all together, and I think about it and I stew over it, and then we take it from there. Because at the end of the day, the only way that my choices make me happy is if they're made for me, right? So I think that is key. Everyone has their 2 cents worth, and most of the time it's because they care, but it's not tailored for me. It's tailored for them.
Tailored for their situation, yeah.
Yep. So that's the good thing about this is we can take this and we can put it down on record. But for people that are listening, just because it works for us doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So what you need to do is you need to not only just listen, take out the bits that you think will work for you that will make you happy. Because at the end of the day, that's all that's going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever little bit of advice you can take from this and tailor to your own situation, that's our hope, is that we can help in some little way and share our little nuggets of wisdom that we have accumulated over our lifetime. And I would definitely agree is I think the advice that I had gotten was that same thing. Listen to what people say and tailor it to yourself. But also the other point of that was listen to what people say, watch what they do. I think that was a big one for me is, people can sit here and they can talk a big game, but are they living that? Because if they're not living it, it doesn't mean that the advice isn't great advice. It just means, there's not supporting documents there to show that works. So that's, I think, where the listen to what they say and take what fits you, because you're the one that's going to have to do the work. You're the one that's going to have to face these difficult conversations or these, situations that advice is going to pertain to. So I think the big thing is to listen to what people say, take what you need that fits your situation, but watch what they do.
Right.
See what happens from there. And then, I think I've gotten a lot of advice about, and, this is in no way trying to throw anything in anybody's face, but, I pray about it. I lay it at the Lord's feet and I say, okay, Lord, give me what I need out of this. Give me what it is you're trying to teach me out of this. Is this about healing, or is this about helping somebody heal? Is it about teaching a lesson to me or somebody I love? And give me the strength then to do what I need to do. Because everybody can take the advice, but the hard part is putting it in play.
Yep. You can read the playbook all day long, but if you don't put the play into action, it's not going to work very well for you.
Exactly.
And I know I'm a big one for that. I'm a big one for, watch what I do, not what I say, because my mouth will run like a dog at the track, and it'll say all kinds of stuff. But just because it comes out my mouth doesn't mean I'm going to do it. And so a lot of times, and I tell you, a lot of times, just because I say, I even say I even say stuff that I shouldn't say. But just because I say it doesn't mean I mean it. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. And I know, unfortunately, for a lot of people, just because someone says it, it becomes a landmine. They automatically think that that's what they're going to do. Not everyone's like that. I'm not like that.
Yeah, but that's hard for people who, we've had this conversation before, when you say things and you tell me to watch what you do, I'm just going to use this as a case in point. You can tell me all day long you love me. All day long.
Right.
And I believe you. But the reason I believe you is because of what you do day in and day out.
Right.
You go to work to a job that you have worked out for many, many years and you're ready to retire. You're at the like age where you're getting close to that, within 10 years, you're going to be retiring. But you still go to work. You still put on your big boy pants and you go to work and you deal with people that maybe aren't so nice to you all the time to support your family.
Right.
Or, you help with the dishes even though you've worked a 8-hour, 10-hour shift, or you do a load of laundry because you know that, I had to get it into work early. Or, you run the kids to and from school because I physically can't get out of work to go do that.
Right.
It's those little things that support the words that you say. So I would definitely caution you in saying that you won't do what you say, because you do. Whether you realize it or not, you do. There are times where you make jokes and things like that. Everybody does, but you live what you say. You communicate. You work hard. You make this relationship a priority.
Yeah, there's two forms of language: the one that's spoken,
the verbal and nonverbal.
And the nonverbal, right? And that's where I was going with that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I think that, and that's kind of why I feel like the advice that I'd gotten about, listen to what they say, but watch what they do. Because you can say you love somebody all day long, but loving them isn't just saying you love them. Loving them is choosing them every single day through the good times and the bad. Exactly.
So now with that, I think it's a good time to wrap things up, and we hope that you've enjoyed this time with us. I know that we've enjoyed spending it with you, and feel free to drop us a line on Facebook, YouTube, with a comment or question or your thoughts that you want to share with us.
Or any advice you may have, too.
Right.
If you find something that's successful,
there you go.
Please feel free to share it.
Oh, please. We enjoy hearing from people. It helps us it helps us, and it helps us help you. So you can...
We are open to therapy sessions. Yeah. Just kidding. We're not licensed therapists.
No, there's no professionalism behind this microphone at all.
Hey, there's professionalism. There may just not be the degrees, okay? We have hard knock life lessons.
I went to hard knock university. So, and if you're not, if you're not on Facebook, YouTube, and those other places, you can also drop us an email. Our email is happyhouseholdpodcast. I know it's long, but that's the way it is, at gmail.com. So
we look forward to hearing from y'all soon, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Bye.